My name is Mark. I work at Google and I work on the Angular team. Oh, I know Angular love out there. Listen, if you love an Angular, come hang out with me tomorrow. I'm giving an Angular talk tomorrow, so come in the building. But speaking of my employer, one thing I will say is that the views and opinions, because Google is an AI company, I'm going to tell you what I honestly think should happen, what you should do in your career. These are my opinions. This is not me saying Google's telling you to do this. This is what Mark, honestly, as another developer to developer, all right, telling you what I think you should do and how to move forward. Because here's the honest to goodness truth. I'm scared. I am scared. There's very few times in my life have I been scared before when it came to my career. In 2008, I was a little scared because the world kind of collapsed and people were losing jobs, and I got scared then. And then about 8 months ago, I got scared again. Because the landscape seemed like it changed overnight. We went from feeling good, writing our, JavaScript, our TypeScript, Vue, React, Angular code, everybody's feeling good. See, and everybody worried about AI doing stuff and causing problems. They can't change my mic in the middle of the talk, now can it? No. So AI is not the be-all, end-all, but I will tell you this. Here's why things got weird. Because you start seeing tweets like this, right? You start seeing things like, 99% of developer jobs are going to be gone. You started hearing people, promote this stuff, and then you see these types of tweets, right? And it makes you feel some type of way. Or you see something like this. If you aren't using AI right now, you're done for. I literally saw videos of people saying that there will be no developers by the end of 2024. Like people sitting on stages doing fireside chats, saying all kinds of stuff. So how can you see this? How can you read this type of information and not feel some type of way? Anybody else felt a little worried over the way things were going? It's okay. This is a safe space. Let me see some hands. You feel a little worried? Thank you for being honest, because I'm being honest up here. So let me tell you what I do. In general, every single time that I feel scared about anything, whether it be my career, whether it be about my safety, whether it be about something unknown, the thing that I do is I first allow myself to feel those feelings. I don't push them away. I don't put my head in the sand and ignore it. I allow myself to feel it because my body and my mind is trying to tell me something. Then what I do next, that's what I do next. I make a plan. All right, I'm scared. Something has to change. Now it's time for a plan. And if you notice, I didn't say you need a plan. I said we need a plan because we all are in the middle of this thing together. If that feels good to you, give me a power clap on 3. 1, 2, 3. That's what I'm talking about. All right. So here's the first step of the plan. We got to know what we're talking about. That is the first step. That is the hardest step, I feel like, especially with this change. It's hard to reason about some of these things because it's so different than what many of us have been doing so far. So let's start the first step with vocabulary and terms. For example, AI versus ML. AI versus ML. Now, were y'all being honest with me when I said this is a safe space? Or y'all being honest? Come to tell you something. I didn't know the difference. I was like, yeah, AI, ML. I was using these terms interchangeably. And I wouldn't be surprised if other people here were doing the same thing. Because it's really easy to do that. It's really easy to use these interchangeably. But guess what, friends? These are actually not the same thing. And I'm going to help you unlock the knowledge that you need for this so that way you are a straight up genius whenever these conversations come up. Like you're going to have people be looking like, now how you know all that? It's going to be amazing. Watch. Okay, first let's start with AI. Now, here's what AI is. Artificial intelligence. Now I know some of y'all said, I came here for that. I knew that. No, I got you. I got you covered. Don't worry. But let's think about it like this. So AI is this really big umbrella, okay? It's this really big umbrella. And here's what the umbrella represents. It's the ability for a machine to do something that normally would require human intelligence. So that's the parent of this whole movement, is this idea that we can make machines do stuff that used to require us. For example, let's think about object detection. That's the thing that your brain is incredible at. Your brain is incredible. The speed at which you process the things that you perceive is amazing. Like, for example, some of you quickly knew whether I was tall or short. Some of you quickly knew that I had a watch on. Some of you knew what type of shoes I had on quickly. You just saw it and you knew. You didn't have to think about it. You saw it and you knew. Some of you saw like, man, is he just kind of handsome or really handsome? Like you just knew, like right off the bat, what was going on. You just knew. Here's another thing, speech recognition. Interpreting the words that you hear, right? You do it. You just do this. And then getting machines to do this is actually quite challenging because you just do it. I'm saying your brains are amazing. And I want you to keep that little piece in the back of your minds, right, about how amazing you already are. Just keep that in the back of your mind through this talk. Recommendation engine is another thing. Like, we used to really need people to do that. You go to a new city, what do you do first? You call your friend and say, hey, where should I go? What do they say? Well, what do you like? And then they give you things. Now, computers do all of these things now through artificial intelligence. But before it required what? Humans to do this. So that's why we go back to the ability for a machine to do something that will require human intelligence. All right, so now we got AI under our belts. We got that under our belts. We kind of get a feeling, okay, AI, this idea machines can do things that humans used to be able to do. Now, if that's AI, then what is ML? How does ML play into the picture? Well, let's get that one under our belts as well. Machine learning. Again, I get it. Machine learning, like you knew what ML was. I get it. I know you all are geniuses. It's fine. But machine learning, when I first heard machine learning back in 2014, I was at a coffee shop with a good colleague of mine called Ali, and Ali was like, yeah, I want to learn about machine learning. And then my first instinct was this: robots in the classroom. That was my first instinct. Like, man, it's just like, what are they learning? Like math? I mean, like, what's going on? Like algebra? That's machine learning? This is my first instinct, but it's more than that, right? So here's this idea. It's the idea that you could learn without being programmed to learn. A machine can learn without being programmed to learn. Think about all of the code that you write currently. Even if you're saying, well, I write imperative code or I write declarative code, the idea is still the same, is that it only does what you've instructed it to do. You provided the instructions, and then it can only do what is within those instructions. Machine learning is the ability for a computer, for a program, to do things that are not in the instructions, that it can learn how to increase its capabilities. Now, that sounds a lot different than just using AI and ML interchangeably now, right? So now you're even smarter and you're even closer to knowing what to do next. Now we're getting better. But how does all of this work? How is that possible? Because to me, that sounds like magic. I'm going to be honest with you. This all sounds a lot like magic at first. How does this even work? Well, it's all about the data. Let me hear you say it's all about the data. It's all about the data. The data is the differentiator here. That's how this works. So machine learning algorithms ingest a really massive amount of data, and then based on that data, it can do the things that we're talking about. It can create things like speech recognition. It can do things like object detection and more. But we're going to go further. All right, let's check this out. So here's one of the first algorithms I want to teach you about today: unsupervised learning. Now, unsupervised learning is an algorithm where we just say, here's some data. Just data. We just give it a bunch of data, right? And we let the algorithm detect the differences, let it categorize things itself. We just let the algorithm do it. It'll go through the data, and I'll hope to make this more clear. Because you get, first, like I said, unlabeled data, and it starts searching for patterns. That's the first step. And what is this really excellent for? Well, image recognition, pattern recognition. Like, these are the types of things that unsupervised learning is excellent at. Let's do some unsupervised learning together. All right, I'm going to show you some images. I'll tell you what they are. And then if you see a category or something in common, you just tell me where to group it, okay? Just tell me where to group it. Give me a thumbs up if you agree to do this. You with me? Okay. So the first thing, call it out if you know what that is. It floats on the water. So boat, okay, fine. So we haven't seen any other boats yet, right? So we'll put the boat to the side. Now, what is this thing? Just tell me what your best guess is. Okay, I heard a lot of stuff. Hot mess. I'm not disagreeing. It's not my car, so I'm not hurt. I heard a van. All right, have we seen any vans yet? Okay, let's put it in its own category. What about this thing? It's a car. Sports car. Is it a van? But it is a car. So because it's not a van, let's put it in its own category. Now, what about this thing? What do we got here? Okay, I heard somebody said a station wagon. That's not quite right, but your machine learning algorithm is you do you. Okay, I'm not mad at you. All right, but have we seen anything that resembles this or has similar characteristics? Should we group it with that thing? Okay, let's do it. Now, this is what we've done together at this scale. So this is actually called clustering. This is what unsupervised learning algorithms do, but at a massive scale. Remember I said it's all about the data, and this happens at a massive scale. So we just clustered these images. Now, if you were a human doing this, this would take a really long time. But this is where the algorithms are so powerful because they don't really have the same perception of time that we do. And they don't get fatigued the way that we do. So to do things that are beyond human scale is an excellent way to use AI and ML. Do things beyond human scale. And so this happens, and this is why you can point your phone at a plant and the phone knows what the plant is. It's this process at a massive scale. Now, does that feel as scary as it did before when you first heard something like ML and unsupervised learning? Now, when you're in a conversation, someone's talking about their algorithm, be like, so is it labeled data or unlabeled? Because when it's unlabeled, I personally use unsupervised learning, but I'm sure at your organization you do what you want, right? You can literally be that person and be like, man, that's a genius. All right, let's keep going. Now let's talk about supervised learning. Now supervised learning is special because that's when you take the data and then you look at the algorithm and make sure that it's doing its work. It's not, that's a bad ML joke. No, super, okay, fine. You don't win them all. You don't win them all. All right, so here's the difference. You get labeled data with supervised learning. That's why they call it supervised. Because in this case, we actually have to go through the data. Somebody literally has to do this. They have to go through the data, and they have to label it and say what it is. Now, this is great for categorizing things. Because if you already say what things are, it is really easy to categorize. And then you could already start to draw a line between which one is more accurate. Because if we're leaving the algorithm in unsupervised learning to make the distinctions, then we are even more accurate when it comes to supervised learning. Because now we're participating and we know the answers. We have the answer key. And that's where supervised learning comes into play. This is great. This is why your email can identify spam emails. This is why. But how did you get it to do that? Does anybody remember? You trained it. Checkmark, report as spam. Labeling the data. You have been a machine learning engineer this whole time. You were labeling that data and you were training it. And that's how it knows how to do it. And so what? You labeled it and it took the characteristics and then it can now identify other ones. This is amazing stuff. Okay, let's do some labeling together just to have some fun. All right. I'm going to show you some images. And so what we're trying to figure out is if a tire is flat or not. That's what we're trying to do. We work for a company. That's what their machine learning algorithm is going to do, but they need us to label it. Is this tire flat? When I say flat, does it have sufficient air? Yes or no? This is flat. I agree. I would not drive that car. All right. What about this one? Is this one flat? Okay. Flat, agreed. Not flat. This car has all tires filled to capacity from what you can tell. This one is not flat. Now, this is the process of data labeling. You can even do it in a spreadsheet. This is a very non-sophisticated process. Yeah, you just do it. You just go through and they hire people at scale to do this. Organizations do that. They just hire people at scale. Data labelers. Yes, no. It's just like a binary choice usually, right? And you just say, yes, it fits this category, or no, it doesn't. So that's supervised learning. So now, here's the big 20,000-foot picture, okay? 20,000 feet. Here's what it really looks like. You got AI is the big parent of this whole field. The entire field is artificial intelligence. But within artificial intelligence, you have things like machine learning, right? And under machine learning, you have neural networks. Now, I'm not going to go deep into this, but neural networks are fascinating. They're so fascinating because what researchers are trying to do is make a computer be modeled like our brain. I told you your brains were amazing. And what you can do as humans is amazing. And now we're trying to replicate it because it's so powerful. And then under neural networks, you get deep learning. And you could spend a lifetime getting into these fields and getting into this stuff. Like, this is not something where you're just gonna like get one part and then, you've mastered the whole thing. This is a wide, broad field, right? And so when people say AI is gonna take over the world, they don't even know what they're talking about. They don't, because what part of AI? Like, those are that's like fear mongering, right? That's not helpful. Let's talk about some more stuff. Okay. This is the boogeyman in the room, the Baba Yaga, if you like John Wick, the Baba Yaga, right? Like, you got this really scary idea, and it's generative AI. This is the one that got me worried, because I saw some demos where they had, these algorithms generating code that I thought that I could write myself, but it wrote it faster than I could. And that was scary, because I'm like, will I have a job? Will there be a need for me if you can do this now? And to be honest with you, this is the worst. Like, people look at the algorithms, the critique is actually incorrect from a lot of the naysayers, because they say, well, it's not even accurate. Well, this is the worst it'll ever be. This is the worst it'll ever be. It'll only get better because it is being trained all the time. When you're using AI-based systems, you're training it. If you're using Copilot, you're training it every time you don't like the suggestion. You're teaching it to get better, which is not a bad thing. But this is the worst it's going to be. So don't lean on that argument of like, it's not even good yet. Because it will be good. It'll get better and better. Okay, let's talk about this one. Generative AI is the idea that programs can create content based on prompts. It tries to create something novel based on prompts. You give it some details, some information, it will create something for you. Now, there are two ways. Because again, you want to know, but how? How does this work? Let me say, but how? But how? I'll tell you, don't got to yell at me. But how? Here's how it works. There are two primary ways that we get generative AI right now. Okay? The first one, thank you, is called generative adversarial networks, or GANs. Now, these are so fascinating. Now, GANs have two algorithms going against each other head to head. Head to head, you have the generator. Let me hear you say generator. And then you have the discriminator. Let me hear you say discriminator. Now, the discriminator, that's a very menacing name. And that's for good reason, because the discriminator is a straight up hater. It's straight up hater. Let me tell you why. Here's what the generator's job is. The generator says, okay, someone asked for a picture of a car. I will draw a car and give it back to them. And give it to the discriminator. The discriminator knows what cars look like. And the discriminator's job is to say if that is a car or not. That's what says a hater, because the discriminator's like, nope, not a car. Do better. Go back. Not interested. Go back. And this is the process back and forth until the generator can create something that convinces the discriminator that it is real within the data set, within the domain. It's fantastic. It's really wild. So let's do it. I'm going to be the generator, and you're going to be the discriminator. Anybody ever watch Family Feud? Okay, what's the sound when you get the wrong answer? I want y'all to give me that like real aggressive, like you can't hurt my feelings, I promise. You can't hurt my feelings. Just do it real aggressive, okay? Now, somebody asked for a flower. Okay, can I get a flower? Okay, great. I'm the generator. Here's a flower. Dang, y'all took that seriously. Okay, love it. Okay, fine. My feelings are not hurt. You cannot hurt my feelings. Here's a flower. Rude. Now, I drew this. Don't play with me. This is a flower. Wow. Wow. Fine. Okay, this is a flower. Ding, 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 right. And this is the process. This is the process at a speed that we can't even imagine like as humans, right? Because it's much faster than that, and it's much more detailed, many more variants before you get to it. I did not draw this, though. I'll let y'all know, because some of y'all are like, man, he's doing the wrong job. He needs to be an artist. No, I didn't draw this, but this is the process, and this is how we get the photorealistic pictures. That's how we get them. It's because, again, the discriminator has the answer key. It knows what's in the domain, and it knows what real items look like according to the prompt. And then the generator just keeps going back and forth until it gets it right. And then you're probably thinking like, well, how did we get so many bad images? Well, that's because, remember I told you before, this is the worst that it'll ever be. The training will improve, because both of these have to be trained. The generator has to be trained, the discriminator has to be trained. And they both will improve over time. And we will continue to create things that are beyond belief in terms of photorealism, in terms of accuracy, which is okay. It's not the end of the world. It is okay. Now, here's the one that's going to make you the hit at the conferences you go to in the future, at the office. It's going to make you a hit. Come explain this one to you. All right. Generative pre-trained transformers. Does that acronym look familiar? So this is what things like Bard and Chat GPT, this is where they come from. So the first flex I want you to throw at people. Ask them, so do you use generative pre-trained transformers in your work? Oh, wait, I'm so sorry. You probably call them GPTs. I'm sorry. But where I'm from, we say generative pre-trained transformers, right? Just flex on them like that, because most people don't even know what that means. That's okay. We're all learning together. But this is trained on unlabeled data. Now, if we have unlabeled data, what do we call that one? Anybody remember that one? Unlabeled? Yeah, there you go. That's right, unsupervised. Unsupervised. So again, we take a bunch of data, don't give it any labels, and then we let the algorithm pick out the characteristics. Now, we're going to play a game. Another game. I like games. I hope y'all having fun because I like games. Honestly, a true story, this is not part of my talk. I'm going to share my heart with you. If I ever do leave like tech, I really will go to Hollywood because I really do want to be a game show host. That's what I want to do. That's my dream job. So that's why I put so many games in my talks. All right, so let's play a game called Guess the Artist. Oh, thank you so much. That unprompted applause. That was amazing. All right. So here's how we're going to play Guess the Artist. Here's how this one's going to work. All right, I'm going to read some lyrics to you, and all you have to do, friends, is tell me who wrote the song. That's it. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to perform it too. I got you. Yeah. I'm moving different since you've been different. I tried to text the bubble green, the fruit is missing. I tried to call the number screen, so who you missing? Your friends told you to stay away and you choose to listen. Now, who's this? I'm going to give you some options. You got Drake. You got J. Cole's an option. Anybody think it's J. Cole? Somebody said J. Cole better than that. He'd never write that trash. What about Big Sean? Could it be Big Sean? So y'all are pretty sure that it's Drake. You're going? Give me a raise of hands for Drake. You think it's Drake? Okay, that's good enough. All right. Because some of y'all are like, I don't even know. I would never listen to music like that in the first place because that is garbage. But that's fine. It's for research purposes. Okay. If you said Drake, you were wrong. That was me. Hey, that was me. Now, let me explain to you why I did that. Stop laughing at my rap. So somebody is in the front, right in the front, laughing at my rap, ooh, I knew it wasn't nobody famous because that was, okay. No, okay, but seriously, let me explain to you the purpose of this exercise. Here's why I did that. The way I was able to convince you, as a discriminator almost, right, that was a Drake lyrics, because what I did was I listened to a Drake song over and over and over and over again until I could imagine what I thought he would say in the next verse. That's how GPTs work. They look at all that data and they just try to imagine what they think would fit within the domain and the parameters that you've asked for. But you already do this. How many times have you watched a movie and said the next line? How did you know what to say? Because you've seen so many movies. How many times did you listen to a song and could predict the next lyric? Because you've heard so many songs. You've been training your model your entire life. So you already do this. You already predict the next thing. You already try to create something novel. Even when you were kids, you play a game that was a mimic of something that you had seen on TV or seen in your environment. You've already been doing this. We're just teaching computers to do what you've already been doing. You already know this. The thing that makes it magic, though, is because these things can do it at a scale that we can't do it ourselves, right? And that's okay. Remember, beyond human scale is an excellent way to use AI. Beyond human scale. Use AI to solve problems that for us, we couldn't do it in a lifetime. That's the way I'm choosing to look at how I will think about AI and how we'll try to implement AI things. All right, I've been talking a lot. Can y'all give me a time check? I got how many minutes? 10 minutes? 20 minutes? No minutes? I'm not getting down, but I just want y'all to know that I know that I'm a little long. Okay. Okay. So we talked about that. All right. So let's talk about you and the AI. All right, let's talk about you and AI. So here's some do's and don'ts. Because I promised you that I would tell you how to thrive. I tell you what I think you should do. So let's get to the do's and don'ts. First thing to do, use AI tools to pair program with you. Do that. You know why? Because think about the work that you could accomplish, even if it's for your hobby projects. You know, everyone is a developer. You have a hobby project, and you're like, oh, I got this great idea. There's no way you can do it in the nights and weekends that you've been lying to yourself about. You've been lying this whole time. How many half-finished GitHub repos do you have? Thousands. You got domains you bought. Use these tools to help you finish those projects, for real. Like, do that. Or if you can use it at work, use it at work. But at that same vein, if you use it at work, do not put your production code into these tools. Don't do it. Let me tell you why. There's a famous tech Twitter person, and she told the street, she said, don't do this. Everybody tried to roast her. And then a news article came out. And what did it say? Samsung employees in trouble putting proprietary data in ChatGPT. Do not do that. Quit playing. Be smart. All right. Do this. Use things like ChatGPT and Bard to make first drafts of stuff, but don't publish the content without it being reviewed. Right? Like, I will use Bard at work sometimes to create a template if I'm like stuck with writer's block. But I will not publish that thing. Because sometimes it's just not right, or it's very generic. And it's not, and here's the worst part, it's not me. I tried to generate this presentation with AI, true story. And it was horrible. It didn't have none of my jokes. It didn't have none of my games. It didn't have anything. And it was right. It was correct. Like, it was all about the things that I'm outlining. But it was so boring because you are the magic. That's the whole point. You are the special sauce. Because what these tools do, they try to create something novel, but they cannot create novel things. They can only work off what? Say it nice and loud. The data. You are still the magic. Okay. And here's the worst part. They can be authoritatively wrong. How many articles have we seen about these AI tools making up facts? There was a lawyer who asked one of these tools. I ain't gonna roast the tool. It's not important. He asked one of these tools, give me some cases that match this precedent. And then he asked it, are these real cases? It said, yes. He went to court. The judge was like, this ain't real. This is not real. What are you talking about? And he was like, well, I asked it if it was real, and it said yes. Of course it said yes. Anybody got kids? Anybody got a single child? You ever asked your child, are those cookie crumbs on your face? No. But child, there are literal crumbs. Those are not cookies. There's nothing on my face. And for real, authoritatively wrong. So what I'm telling you is that use the tools to your advantage, but do not let them like replace you. Don't let it replace you. Okay? So here's what the plan is. Here's what you should do. I promise you a plan. So now we got our tools and our terms. We know everything we need to, the ideas. Now we need to know what to actually do. Okay, I'm gonna leave you with some plan. First thing, this is what I am doing. This is not what I think you should do only. This is what I am actually doing. Mark Thompson, Mark Texan's actually doing this. I'm learning how to use tools where it makes sense. 100%. 100%. Like if I work as a developer relations engineer. A lot of times I got to make demos, right? I am a terrible designer. Absolutely horrible. So I look for design tools that can generate a UI. Is it a good UI? No. Is it better than what I can do? Yes. Right? So it's a good starting point. And then I polish it, and I may even still work with a designer to make it better, but just to get past the writer's block, get past the creative block, right? Get those weekend projects done. You know what I'm talking about. All right. Then this is the big move. All right, so the first one is what you can do right now, but this is the big move. Learn how to build AI-enabled applications. Now, up to this point, anything with AI has been kind of held exclusively, it feels like, for like really large companies, right? Like, the Googles of the world, the Amazons, the Apples, like, they have all these really smart tools. You got to get in the business of making smart tools now. This is the future. Now, you can catch me in 5 years, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. I'm right. I am right, but you can find out that I'm right in 5 years. This is the future. Learn how to build AI-enabled tools yourself, right? But you say, Mike, well, how am I going to do that? That feels like a lot. I got you. I got you covered. And before I tell you about that part, let me tell you what the long-term plan is. The same way you work from junior developer to architect to principal and beyond, right? In the long term, do understand how like deeper AI stuff works, right? How to start training your own models, how to get involved with the data and algorithm stuff. Like you got to learn that at depth, right? This is a long-term plan. This could be a lifetime worth of work. I mean, but you start working toward that in long term. But that's that middle point. You got to do that now. Start learning that now. How you do it. Let me show you an AI app example that I made. Okay. So we know that our favorite social media is experiencing some really wonky stuff. So just like everybody else, I'm making my own for this demo. All right, let me show you how this works. All right, so I'm going to write a post. All right, I saw a cool bridge, right? I'm going to upload the photo of my bridge to my app. But wait, I'm going to pause it right in the middle. Okay, wait, scroll down. Boom. Okay, that's a bridge. Now, here's the one thing that I really think that you should remember as you use the internet. Not everyone uses the internet the same way that you do. So what's really important when you post media, when you post things, you got to think about people who use assistive technologies, right? Your alt text is valuable. There are people who literally rely on that. So one way to help do it, because it's hard, because I know people don't think about accessibility first. I get it. I didn't think about it first either. I mean, something I learned over time. Fine. I want to use AI to help me make this easier. So how about I ask my tool to describe some of the things that are in the photo to save me a little bit of time? So let's do that. So then, boom. So I'm going to get help with my alt text. And then look at what it did. It gave me some words. All right, so these are all the things that it found, right, in that photo. Sky, water, bridge, all this kind of stuff. Now, you might be like, man, Mark is a straight-up genius. How did he do that? This is actually just a plugin that I used. I wrote a regular web app. I added some CSS animation so y'all could think that it was magic, right? That little wiggling tool, just so you could think it. It wasn't nothing fancy, just a little transform. That's it. And a little fade in so you really thought something special was happening. But all the hard work was actually done by a plugin on Firebase. Just a plugin. I uploaded the photo to my Firebase database, and then it described it and sent me the data right back, almost like a post request, when you make an API request, almost the same style. That was it. And then I got all this like magic to my app. So you can do this now. And look, so how to get this stuff in your apps? Here's what you do. You got stuff like Firebase extensions that I just talked about. If you want to go a little bit further, you have a little bit more bespoke needs, but you're not ready to train your own models, then fine, you use things like Palm API, right? Or if you want to say, well, I make mobile apps, Mark, and I want to do on-device machine learning, fine, use MediaPipe. These are things that are already made for you, designed to democratize access to these tools. You can use this stuff right now. But look, you might say, man, I don't even like Google. Fine, don't. There are so many other APIs. Open API has their own tools. You can use whatever you want, but this is your gateway right into building AI-enabled apps right now. You see, you could take something you have already built and add a plugin and then start getting those AI smarts into your applications, friends. All right. See, I think this is incorrect. I think the race to replace, which there are companies out there doing this. I saw a company that said we will do your A/B testing with like AI users. Come on, right? Like for real, be for real. Like, and they for real trying to raise money. Like, be for real. You can't replace people, right? Because you are still the magic. Your experiences is what make the code that you write unique. So this is the wrong idea. The race to replace is incorrect. Here's where we started. I don't think you're scared anymore. I think we've talked about enough today to not be scared and to be more knowledgeable. So now guess what I think you are? I think you're ready. I think you're ready. Because you know what the next steps are. Now we have a plan. At first, coming in, it was scary because we know what to do next. And when you don't know what to do next, that's just a breeding ground for fear. And the temptation is to put your head in the sand and just act like it's going to go away. But friends, I don't think this is going away. One other time in my career did I predict the future and I was right. Back in 2011, I was working as a consultant, and then I saw Knockout, Batman, AngularJS, Ember, and a couple of other frameworks. This is back when all you used was jQuery and Dojo. And I said, this might be the future. And I literally pivoted my entire career, which led me to where I am right now, because I predicted that things were going to change. I am telling you, I have not had that feeling since then, and I have it right now. This is where we're going. But now you're ready. Because let me tell you the last special point. Remember we said that AI was artificial intelligence. That's what we said, right? But here's what I will propose to you. You're already intelligent. So you don't have to rely on artificial intelligence to replace the magic that you already are, friends. So get out there and win this thing, because you can do it. You got everything it takes. We go from scared to ready, and now it's time for you to win. I appreciate you, friends. Thank you so much for coming this morning. Have a wonderful, wonderful talk conference. All right, thank you.